Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers joining you guys after the Sunday edition of Week 14 in the NFL. We're here to give you what matters most from all the games that we watched in the afternoon slate, the early and the late games. I thought the 4 p.m. games were obviously a little lighter, as they technically are always just number-wise, but entertainment throughout, and I think there's a lot of really good long-term conversation to have with a lot of these teams. Connor, how are we feeling today on this Sunday?
Good, man. A bit of a hectic Sunday. I think there was some, I don't want to say upsets more so, but maybe surprises that we're going to get through. There was a couple upsets. There was also a couple blowouts. And this season, the playoff picture gets closer and closer to being painted. And there's a lot of really, every single game has such high stakes implications at this point of the season. So we have plenty to get through today, despite there being a couple bye weeks.
There's 6 teams that were on the bye, which I was going to note here. The Atlanta Falcons, 5-8, they're on the bye. Green Bay Packers, they're 5-8 on the bye. Saints 4-9, Bears 3-10, Colts 4-8-1, and then the Commanders, who might be like big winners from the day, honestly. They got healthier because they got to rest. And then we're going to get to the Giants losing and the Seattle Seahawks losing as well. Really, the only negative for the Washington Commanders is that the Lions picked up a big win and that there is still a chance for the Lions to make the playoffs. So, Connor, where do you want to start as we recap Week 14?
Oh man, I think we start with the scare, maybe Texans Cowboys.
Okay.
Talk about a total sweat. I guess a lot of Cowboys fans were probably thinking like, okay, they've done this in the first half this year. We know they're going to figure it out. It just felt like it went on longer. Like the third quarter, nothing changed. And then obviously the fourth quarter, they found a way. But the Texans are not a good football team right now. They are a team expected to pick number 1 overall. And they credit to them. And their secondary is quietly played very well. I want to be fair to the Texans here. This was a game where Jalen Petrie really had his coming out party, looked really, really good. Shout out to Cody, who's a loyal listener of the pod. He tweeted right at me. He's like, can us Texans fans get something? Petrie looks good. And I'm like, yes, you do deserve that. But obviously, Trevor, this will be a very Cowboys heavy combo.
Led the team in tackles. Just want to say we've
made some plays on the ball.
We've been getting on Jalen Petrie for not having enough tackles and missing a lot of tackles. I guess is the way I should say it. He leads the NFL right now in missed tackles and led the Texans today in tackles. So I just wanted to shout him out there. Wanted to make sure that I gave him his due. Texans played feisty in this one, man. For a team that has 1 win on the season, you can tell that this is a young group and a young core because it's not like there's a lot of people that are giving up on this team, right? These are young guys who know that every single snap matters. They're trying to make the most of their time in the NFL, their young time since they've been there. And it feels like it's an audition for a lot of these guys because there's not really a certainty that Lovie Smith's going to be back as head coach next year. In fact, I'd say that it's likely he's not, right? That's just kind of the way that it is. When you win 1 game in a season, it's not like you have a lot of confidence from the front office and the ownership around you. So I think there might be a lot of changes in Houston coming up. We've mentioned on this show, potentially Nick Caserio on the hot seat as well. Like there could be some sweeping changes, right? And I think that if the Texans get the number 1 overall selection, there's a good chance they're taking a quarterback. So they're probably just going to want this overall feeling of newness. Now, can they achieve that by keeping a lot of the same pieces in the organization and still drafting the quarterback? Yeah, but I don't know if maybe the owner McNair there is just like, let's wipe it all clean. Let's wipe it all clean. And if that's the case, a lot of these guys who are playing well, it's not like they're saying, our season's over. No. This is their job. Their job's on the line here. Do they have a spot on next year's team? Do they have any kind of benefit of a doubt? And I think it was great to see a lot of Texans players fighting hard on both sides of the ball. They made this a game down to the wire, and they commanded the Dallas Cowboys at home to have a 98-yard drive to end the game in order to really just finally get ahead on the scoreboard. So I just wanted to salute the Texans. I agree that I agree with you that we're mainly going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys for what matters most, but did just want to point that out for the Texans that they did a great job. They had a lot of fight in this game, and they put up a lot more of a fight than anybody thought, I believe.
Well, especially when it's a lot of young players that are taking part in that kind of fight, like a Petrie. That does matter for your program going forward. But Trevor, program. I know you had a Cowboys takeaway for this one overall.
I do. I'm a little worried about Dak. Like I think that everybody who listens to this podcast can give us the benefit of the doubt as not being these massive Dak Prescott haters, because we're not.
No,
We did the exercise during the summer where we drafted the entire NFL with everybody in a single pool, like a Madden fantasy draft. And we had Dak going, would he go 5?
Yeah.
I think he went 5 overall. So we gave Dak a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for Dak's game. Dak's got 5 turnovers now in 3 games, in his last 3 games. And he's only got 2 games this season where he has 0 turnovers. And if you go to more PFF-centric stats, he's got 9 big-time throws, but he's got 11 turnover-worthy plays on the year. So he has more turnover-worthy plays than he does what we categorize as big-time throws. And obviously, the Cowboys, things are going well for them, right? They're sitting there at 10-3. I think Dak has certainly given them a lot to look forward to in spurts since coming back this year. But it hasn't been a full consistency yet with Dak. And I'm worried, because in those instances where we're not getting the best of Dak, the floor for what we're seeing are turnover-worthy plays. It's not just inconsistencies. It's not just like, he's a little slow on this read, or the ball didn't go exactly where it needed to, like ball placement, things like that. It's straight up turnovers. Like, it's straight up things that are making you have to go 98 yards down the field just to beat a 1-win football team in week 14 of the NFL. So what matters most, a lot of people are sitting here like, hey, the Dallas Cowboys needed this win to keep pace with the Eagles. Where that is mathematically true, these two teams are very far apart, I think. And I think that Dak Prescott's inability to stabilize his play is a big reason for that. We're going to get to the Philadelphia Eagles in a second, but when I watch the Eagles, Connor, I'm not worried about Jalen Hurts at all. He's so in control. Doesn't matter what's happening. Doesn't matter what quarter it is. Doesn't matter where they're playing the game. Doesn't matter what the precipitation is. Jalen Hurts is in control at all times. And I just don't feel that way with the Cowboys. Does that change their ceiling? No, it doesn't. But identifying that their floor is a little bit lower because of how erratic Dak has been playing since he's come back this season, I think is something that we need to know.
I think it's really fair, right? I think when it comes down to it, he's somebody that will get all of the scrutiny, fair or not, because you're the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. You're on the big contract. This is a team that is so desperate to get over the hump, right? They're so desperate to be a contender down the stretch. And when Dak struggles, like all quarterbacks on all contending teams, that magnifying glass is going to be there, because let's be real, this is a Cowboys team that they have a stable of pass rushers. They have talent on this defense. They have 2 running backs. They have pass catching talent. The offensive line had to be reworked this year, but they figured it out. So when you look at it, it's something that Dak's going to be judged a lot depending how this season goes, even if it is a loss in the playoffs to an Eagles type of team. And I do think it's fair, because at some point you can't always build the perfect infrastructure around guys all the time, especially once they get that big money deal. So I think it's really fair. Now, what I will say, back it up, is once again, I think this Texans secondary has been much better than people anticipate. And I want to pull up the Cowboys schedule right here to see if Dak can obviously build some momentum as well. And they won the game. But, you look at it here, they get Jacksonville on the 1:00 game, December 18th. They do have the Eagles coming to them.
Right. That's a big game, right? That's what everybody's looking forward to. Yeah.
But they close things out with the Commanders, who are no slouch right now.
And who might be playing for their lives in that game, right?
Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting with them. It really is. And so much of, where the Cowboys season ends, Dak is under that scope, because they really have built a really good, well-rounded football team in my eyes.
The Cowboys-Eagles game in 2 weeks is pretty monumental now, not just for the Cowboys potentially still winning the division and maybe winning the 1 seed there, but if they lose to the Eagles, not only is that 1 extra win that the Eagles get, 1 extra loss that they get, separation between the division gap, but it also means that the Eagles are probably going to rest their starters in week 18 in which they play the Giants. Okay. You just said that the Dallas Cowboys face the Washington Commanders. Commanders and the Giants are probably going to be right there up until the very last week of the playoffs for that last playoff spot. If the Giants are playing against the Eagles backups, that's more favorable for them. There's a good chance they win that game. Washington will also know that. So Dallas is going to get the very best of the Washington Commanders that game. Is that in Dallas or is that in Washington?
I believe it's in Washington.
I think it's in Washington too. So all of a sudden, that Eagles Cowboys game in 2 weeks is just going to be huge. The magnitude of that game is massive. Yeah. Yeah. What's up?
Say you're the 1 seed in the final week of the season, and there's no way you could be bumped out of it. Do you rest because you have a bye?
I would not rest. I probably would not rest my guys the whole game.
Treat it like a preseason game, right?
I'd probably treat it like a preseason game. Yeah. Because I would want these guys to still
get reps.
Still go through the motions of game day and all that stuff. Because I do believe that there is something to when you are the 1 seed. I don't think it's just a unanimous positive. Not that you wouldn't ever take it. You would take it in all occasions. I'm not saying that either. You would always rather take the 1 seed. But there is a mental aspect to, you basically like almost have, 13 days off from game action. And players will tell you all the time, there's nothing like playing in a game on Sunday. You can try to simulate it all you want in practice, but there's nothing like it. So I'd probably treat it like a preseason game, if I'm going to be honest with you. But it is advantageous to limit the hits that you guys have, even with an extra week off. I still think that it's advantageous to limit the hits that these guys take. You just got to make sure that you're handling things better, or well, I shouldn't say better, well, through those 2 weeks that you've got to buy. But it is an interesting question. What about you? What would you do?
I would treat it like a preseason game. I would need my guys to get. It's so tricky because if you deal with one injury, you're going to be crushed. I want to say I give them a half, but I don't know. I think I just give them a quarter. I just want them to go through the game, the full. I would tell them. I don't even know if I would tell them. I think I'd want them to treat it like a week of preparation, a mindset going into a game, and then pull them after the first quarter, just so they went through that exhausting process of it to stay fresh and locked in.
I don't know if there's a right answer. There's just a logical answer, right? And there might be a couple of logical answers. People might say, "Hey, don't put them out there."
Health above all.
Any play they're out there, health above all. Like you said, people say that. People say that in the preseason all the time, right? Why are people out there? All that kinds of stuff. But at the same point,
well, we have this conversation on the pod all the time, though, about guys that miss the summer, like Joe Burrow.
Well, right. Bengals started 0-2 because Joe Burrow did not play in the preseason, I think.
I agree.
Because he was rusty.
He couldn't play, to be fair to him, in the preseason. They didn't just sit him. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, he had an injury. But still, I do think that's a big reason why.
It's an interesting combo and one that's not going anywhere right now, I don't think.
All right, what's the next game?
Browns Bengals. I do have a take. I have a take for you in this one. Besides, Joe Burrow's good and the Bengals are maybe the scariest team in the AFC right now and all of that. Man, I think DJ Reader is one of the most underrated players in the NFL. And I've done the whole the Bengals started off slow because Joe Burrow didn't have a summer, and I do believe that in my heart. But I also think the Bengals missing Reader between weeks, he got hurt week 3 and he didn't come back to week 11, might be the colossal difference on this team defensively. I just look at Reader and think he's somebody that does so much up front. He had 6 stops today. He opens up so much space for guys behind him, like Logan Wilson, who had a huge day. Logan Wilson had 8 stops today. We always talk about the Bengals defense playing in unison and maybe not having a superstar. Jesse Bates is a really good player, right? Logan Wilson is a nice player. We know what Trey Hendrickson can do rushing the passer. I think Reader's the star of the defense. I really do. And I think it's about time he gets that title and gets credit for that and is the difference maker of why the Cincinnati team is such a force right now on defense.
Yeah, 100%. He is he's a major reason why this team is playing really well. This is a stat that I looked up before the show. Cincinnati's got a 71.9 run defense grade as a team since DJ Reader returned a couple of weeks ago. That would make them top 10 in the NFL for a run defense graded team. He's just making everybody better. Everybody along the defensive line is playing a lot better. And as if that team wasn't already playing really, really well on the defense side of the ball, that is how you limit a team like the Cleveland Browns, who would love to run the ball to as much as they did this past week. So that's a really good note there. I want to note on the Bengals side of things, because there's not really much to note about the Browns. I mean, Deshaun Watson, again, looked terrible for most of the game.
How about taking him out for a key play? I mean, I don't even know what.
To be fair, Brissett had the guy.
I know.
Brissett had him. He should have hit him. Who was it? What tight end was that? Was that Njoku? I don't think it was.
I forget. I just know that
in the end zone, but
Jacoby coming in ice cold for your $250 million quarterback is certainly a choice.
Yeah, that was funny. But on the Bengals side of things, so this was from NFL Network earlier today on Sunday. Bengals changed their offense in week 5 to give Joe Burrow more control to make adjustments. Quarterback coach Dan Pitcher and offensive coordinator Brian Callahan have helped this offensive evolution since then and after week 5. Cincinnati has won 6 of 7, and Burrow is in the MVP race. Since week 5, this is me now. No, this is a Trevor-centric stat. I didn't mean for it to sound like that.
That was a really good. This is me now.
I just didn't mean to say this is still quoting them. Since week 5, only one game have they scored less than 20 points. This offense is absolutely humming, and it is funny what happens when you let a really damn good quarterback do what he is most comfortable and most confident doing. It should seem so simple, right? I feel like every coach in the world would tell you, yeah, you gotta build your scheme around your players, not the other way around. And it just feels like there's a decent amount of pushback in the NFL about all that. And a lot of these offensive minds say, no, this is going to work. This is going to work. We're going to do this. And it's like, okay, we have a blueprint of how unstoppable Joe Burrow can be when he's got a lot of different options, when he's got 4 wide receivers, 5 wide receivers, when he's spreading it out, when he's playing shotgun, doing all that kinds of stuff. And it's just, now they're doing it a lot more. They're doing a lot more of the things that Joe Burrow likes to do, and that he's even more confident with, because I think this Bengals offense is just so much fun to watch. That throw to Jamar Chase in the end zone between the corner and the safety, who's attempting that throw, let alone completing it? I mean, the timing of it, the ball placement, the everything, man. They said on the broadcast, Jamar Chase didn't even expect the ball. Yeah, he didn't expect the ball because he wasn't open. There was basically a football-sized window that Joe Burrow put that through. And he's one of the most fun quarterbacks in the NFL to watch when he's fully confident and when he's firing like that. And it does not seem like the Bengals are stopping anytime soon. It really doesn't. It feels like they are one of those teams that is hitting their groove when it matters most into the month of December. So you got to have faith in this team moving forward.
And they've been here, right? They were just here last year. And as I searched Joe Burrow on Twitter in the post game, he said it's about time the rest of the NFL notices DJ Reader. So I guess me and him had the same takeaway from that game.
There you go.
I mean, yeah, this is all about the Bengals, and the Bengals deserve all the shine they get on this show, because the Bengals. All right, let me just ask you a question that, I don't care if we come away being hot takey here. Would you take out of the AFC, if you had to pick one team to go to the Super Bowl right now? I mean, who are you taking? I'm taking the Bengals now. I'm confidently.
I'm still taking the Chiefs. I'm still taking the Chiefs, but the Bengals are number 2.
Okay. No. I've said for a while that I would pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. So I would put them neck and neck. I think the more important conversation is I would take both of them comfortably over the Bills right now.
I wouldn't say the word comfortably. But if you want to say the word comfortably,
I really think both of them are playing at a.
This is your podcast to do it.
Oh man, you're gonna piss somebody off either way. No, I'll stick to it. Chiefs and Bengals. I like. Wait, and the Bills might be the number 1 seed when all is said and done. That's the funny thing.
They still control their own destiny. Do you want to talk about the Bills next? You want to transition?
Yeah, let's go Jets-Bills, okay. Which was a huge win for the Bills.
Bills win this game in Buffalo, 20-12. Connor, was this game as close as the score was at the end? Because it was a one possession game. They were very close to it. Yeah. All they had to do was get one defensive stop. They were able to get that, but they weren't obviously able to score at the end. How close was this game really between these two teams?
It got very sweaty in the fourth quarter. If Michael Carter doesn't fumble when the Jets are just storming down the field, inexplicably fumbles. I'm not the Bills won this game and the Bills deserve this win. There is no way around it. The difference in this game, Trevor, was that one of two plays Joe Flacco had to come in. He got strip sacked because he looks like an 80-year-old man in the pocket. And Michael Carter fumbled on a drive that could have essentially turned the whole tide for the Jets. And the Bills created those plays, so they won. But that tells you how close this game was, is that two fumbles were catastrophic in the end.
Oh, Elijah Moore got 10 targets?
He did.
We're back, baby.
Elijah Moore is back.
We are so back.
Now, I don't know if you want Mike White throwing 44 times, especially with the beating he took in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to take away from this game. I know you had something on the Bills side, so since they won, I would like to start with that, and obviously I'll bring the Jets side of it.
Okay. So obviously the Bills take the victory, and it's huge for them.
10th win.
When we look at the Bills, this might feel a little nitpicky because this is a team that is 10-3, right? They're 10-3, right?
Yep, 10-3.
Yeah,
5-1 at home.
They're 10-3 right now, and they currently have the number one overall seed in the AFC. So I don't mean for this to be just trying to look for negatives about the Bills, sure. But when we talk about this team and what matters most, what matters most is clearly them playing well enough to win a Super Bowl. That's where this team is at. It's not just you can't be happy with another win. Good job on the win. They still keep hold of the number one seed. I'm getting worried, similar to how I'm worried about the Cowboys, about how hot and cold it feels like this Buffalo offense is. When it's hot, one of the best in the NFL. That's why they're tier one. I mean, they had 4 drives in the middle of this game where they basically scored all the points they needed to. Let me make sure I get the stats right here. In the 4 drives near the middle of the game, the Bills gained 190 of their 232 total yards of the day and scored the 20 points. And it was just in a concentrated 4 drives that they had in the middle of the game. But they started this game, first 5 possessions were punts, and then they ended the game with 3 punts on their final 3 possessions outside of kneeling it down. That's not good. I just don't know. You can't start the game 5 punts, literally everything, and then just 3 punts. I know that the ebbs and flows of a game sometimes make the drive charts a little wonky, but I am worried that the Bills don't have enough consistency in their offense. They don't have enough of those guys where they just go okay, when we got to move the chains, this is what we do. Now, also want to be fair. I don't want to be hyperbolic. Going into this week, the Bills were the number one team in the NFL on third down conversion rate. They were 50%. I think they were right at 52%, which was tops in the NFL. It's them in Kansas City. They're sitting right there at 50% or above. So I don't want to be totally hyperbolic there, but they were 2 for 13 on third down this week, and that's just not good. I just want to see the Bills moving forward find this go-to player concept, something where they can avoid what we saw this week, where it was just everything so concentrated and then droughts throughout, because you just don't want that. When you go against good teams, you can't have these major droughts. It's just going to start messing with you mentally, especially when you're playing teams like the Dolphins, the Bengals, the Chiefs, where the Bills ultimately want to go to end up getting to the Super Bowl. So big win for them. Still got the 1 seed. That is what matters a lot in this game, but what matters most to me is the offensive run a little hot and cold, and I wish it was a little bit more consistent. So that's what I got.
It's fascinating to me because I'm sitting here wondering, is their offense running hot and cold, or does the Jets defense just have their number this year, right? Because the Jets defense has made Josh Allen look human, something that no other teams seem to be able to do. And further emphasize, though, your point, if CJ Mosley doesn't jump off sides before the half in a situation where everybody in the world except CJ Mosley knows the Bills are just trying to draw someone off sides.
That was pretty awesome, though.
Sick attempt, not smart.
Just goes full water boy, straight over the line.
Oh, man. So, what would it look like for the Bills? Because the Bills offense went up the field after that, and they did, so they get all the credit, but they wanted to punt there. It was just draw them off and then punt. So the Bills have questions, especially on the offensive line, and every educated Bills fan or any Bills fan, they know these things. Nothing new to them. On the Jets side of this one, it's simple for me. My takeaway was that the Jets aren't in a place yet where they are good enough to overcome mistakes and injuries together. They're just not. And most teams in the NFL aren't. But this was a game where they had 7 penalties going into the fourth quarter. They lost the turnover battle 2-0 with the 2 fumbles. The Bills didn't do everything great on offense today. The Bills didn't turn the ball over today. They lost the turnover battle 2-0 to the Bills. And in the span of this game, they lost Corey Davis, Quinnen Williams, Mike White for some of the game. George Fant as well. And this is the NFL. Like, the really, really good teams sometimes can find a way to overcome those things. I don't know about Quinnen because I think he's their best football player and one of the better defenders in the AFC right now. But the Jets just aren't there yet. Where could they have? You asked the beginning, you opened this, Trevor, with was this game as close as a one-possession game? And it didn't always feel that way, but ultimately it was. But they shot themselves in the foot. And the Jets have the playoffs on the line. They have to win 3 of the next 4 against the Lions, Jaguars, Seahawks, and Dolphins. Be very interesting. Some of those teams are getting hot at the right time. And they made their fate a lot more difficult by not closing it out against the Vikings and making too many mistakes against a very good Buffalo Bills team that in Buffalo, you will not win if you make those mistakes. But credit to Mike. What's funny, though? Mike White was not the problem in this game. So Mike White was actually pretty good for the most part in this game when he wasn't gasping for air for his ribs. So shout out to Mike White.
What game is next? What do you want to hit next?
Okay, let's go Vikings-Lions. Because this maybe was the most fascinating game going into the weekend in terms of how Vegas viewed it. I think some people were appalled that the Lions were favored in this game. The Lions come into this game as a 5-7 team against a 10-win Vikings team as the favorites. And I was a little surprised. I thought it would maybe go to Minnesota by a hair. But the Lions, man, this is like me taking my take I've used all year, but now like just screaming it. The Lions are in such a good place, in my opinion, because of what they could do with the capital and not have to panic pick a quarterback, because of what they have in Jared Goff under contract for the next 2 years with all of the pieces coming together. The offensive line, Jameson Williams, all these wide receivers, running back talent. I'm not a believer, and it would be a really cool story. And, would it be cool if it happened? Sure. I'm not a believer the Lions are going to run the table and sneak into the playoffs. That's not what the story is about to me. And if some people are, maybe it's not there yet. But this is what progress looks like under Dan Campbell, where this matters so much because this is something that you can carry into next year because you can go out and buy some of a defense. You can draft some of a defense, and you have a quarterback that trusts everything around him that is starting to play some of his best football. And at the end of the day, the Lions got to win over a 10-3 Vikings team, and that's all that matters right now.
Their last 6 games, they are 5-1. After starting the year 1-6.
They score a lot.
They score a lot of points. Now, if you even correct their defense from the first 5 weeks of the season to I don't even need an average defense. A lot of people say that. They say, if you just take them from bad and you just make them average, look how many wins they would get. I don't even need average. Just don't be dead last. Just don't be dead last. You could be bottom 5 still. Doesn't matter. The Lions would probably be sitting here above 500 right now if their defense wasn't just dead last to start the season. You give up 38 points to the Eagles, 36 points to the Commanders, 28 points to Minnesota, 48 points to Seattle, 29 points to New England. I mean, it was just left and right. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. Since then, it's been also 24 and 31 points after the bye week. But since then, on this little 5-1 streak that they got going here, defense allowed 9 points, 30 points, 18 points, 25 points, 14 points, 23 points. And they're sitting here at 5-1. That's all you needed. That's all you needed if you were Detroit. And I think that, shout out to whoever tweeted me this. They were like, can we please stop talking about the Lions, saying if Dan Campbell is there to make the picks, because we do that on the Wednesday show, right? When we talk about the Lions, we talk about the direction they're going.
We do that for every losing team, though.
But we do.
It's not personal.
No.
It's just an open-ended question. It's a draft show.
But I'm saying definitively.
Oh, sure. He's here to stay.
We will not have that conversation anymore. There will not be that caveat to the Detroit Lions when we talk about the NFL draft anymore. And we do still get to talk about them with the NFL draft because they're going to pick high because of the Los Angeles Rams selection. But when we do that, Dan Campbell will be the one making this pick. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, go ahead.
Is the Stafford Goff picks trade the quarterback equivalent of the Diggs for Justin Jefferson pick? In terms of, like, we've never seen both sides win like this before.
Oh, well,
the Rams won a Super Bowl, so I don't want to hear anybody saying the Rams lost the trade.
Right.
It does. Nothing else matters.
No, I mean, the answer is no. I like where you're going because, it's an interesting comparison. But to be honest with you, and I'm about to talk about this with what matters most with the Lions. The Rams won a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford, and that makes it 100% all worth it for them. But they were even struggling last year, and it's been bad this year to getting to the point where we are now, where Liam Cohen, their offensive coordinator, just left Los Angeles to go be the offensive coordinator again at Kentucky, which tells you all you need to know about what's going to happen with the Los Angeles Rams next year. Because I think McVay's gone. I think Stafford's gone. I think Donald's gone. I think Snead's gone, if you want my honest opinion. But we could talk about that at a different time. When it comes to the Detroit Lions, Goff's been very shaky. He's been very mid up till, I would say, the last, 5 or 6 games. He's been a lot better. Now, when I say a lot better, this is my one thing that matters most. Goff has been better, but Goff still hasn't been a in my opinion, like this playoff caliber type of quarterback. And that matters to me because we're having a lot of conversations about what do the Lions do in the draft? Do they draft another quarterback? Goff has been better, but let's make sure that we put it in context that he has simply been better. And he has been better, most importantly, when it's come to decision makings. He has thrown much less turnover-worthy plays. His turnover-worthy play percentage is so much lower over these last 5 or 6 games. And because of that, I think you're seeing him put the ball exactly where it needs to go to a lot of good playmakers, and that works. I still don't fully believe that he is this creator instead of a passer. So I think that that's what you really have to have in mind, and that is something that matters a lot to me moving forward. But I don't want to be totally negative on the Detroit Lions because they are playing great as a team. They are one of the most dangerous teams in the NFC right now. I don't know how many teams would be like, hell yeah, let's play the Lions. I don't think anybody in that conference outside of the Eagles, to be honest with you. So they're playing well, want to give them their props, and I especially want to give them their props on the defensive side of the football and the defensive front. To me, from what I just watched live, haven't gone back on the tape, obviously, this felt like Aiden Hutchinson's best game. He's had other games where he's had a little bit more backfield production, but it felt like everything was legit for him. Now, some of his best plays came from rushing from a 2-point stance. He said, coming out of the draft, I like rushing from a 2-point stance. I feel most comfortable. I feel most flexible. I feel most explosive. And yet, early on in his tenure with Detroit, first half of the season, I would say, they had him rushing from a 3-point stance a lot. They've been giving him the opportunity to be a stand-up pass rusher and an edge player more recently, and I think that you're seeing dividends for that. So moving forward, I feel like Aiden Hutchinson's got to be put in positions where he could be a stand-up guy. And with that being the case, I think you're going to see even more production from him moving forward because we saw a really great Aiden Hutchinson today, and I think a lot of that is because they're being more flexible with how he's aligned and putting him in more comfortable positions.
Absolutely. He made those
are my what matters most for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, Hutch is so important to the future of this team. He obviously had the sack. He had more pressure than that. It matters a lot for them. And, back to your Goff point, I never want to use one game as a learning point, but you can learn a lot about this offense in Goff as soon as this weekend because he has to play outdoors at MetLife in December against the Jets.
This is the game to me. To me, this is the game. I obviously, as you guys could tell there from my rant, I like what I'm seeing from Jared Goff.
You're just a little skeptical still, which is fair.
I have my reservations about Jared Goff because there's many years of this. So I'm not just going to be like, oh, Tigers change his stripes. We're totally good here.
Sure.
Let's see what you got against the New York Jets. People are going to come at me and be like, oh, the supporting cast isn't what it needs to be, this, that. I just want to see good processing, good play from Jared Goff. That's all I need to see. That's what you are totally right. I'm very much looking forward to next week's game against the Jets because it's a great defense. It's a great defensive scheme. And I think it'll be a great test for Jared Goff moving forward. So I can't wait to see that.
Next up, Jags Titans. One of the surprises of the week. Tennessee's obviously had Jacksonville's number. Jacksonville's sick of it. They win 36-22 in a game where maybe this was Trevor Lawrence's best game of his career. If not the best, it's up there with some of the best. Lawrence is playing at a level right now of a top 10 quarterback. Trevor, you said something to me before we got on that really stuck with me. He just looks so confident in everything he does and is playing faster because of it. And there's no other way to do this game without saying what matters most is that Trevor Lawrence is becoming the top 12 quarterback in the NFL that we all expected him to be going into year 2. It just took a little while to get out of the gate to start the season. But when you look at the stretch he's on right now, he's there.
A little more context. Sorry, my dog was barking and I had to be on mute.
I saw you make the face of like, just get through this one part.
Sorry. Some extra stats for Jacksonville here. First win against the Tennessee Titans since 2019. Lord. First win in Nashville since 2013. They almost haven't won in Nashville in a decade. And they get the monkey off their back, if you will. I want to point out this too before I get to Trevor Lawrence. 0 sacks allowed by the Jags offensive line. Fantastic game from the Jags offensive line.
Plays into him.
Both Jawaan Taylor, that's the one, and Cam Robinson pass blocking grades above 80 today. So it's great to see that from both their tackles, which we have been critical of here on the show.
Sure.
A lot of people have been critical of as it pertains to looking towards the future in the offseason. Jawaan Taylor being an unrestricted free agent this upcoming offseason. This stat here that I'm going to read is from a friend of the program, Mike Duraco, who we had on to pick for the Jaguars in our guest mock draft series. He said, Jaguars QB Trevor Lawrence is the youngest player in NFL history to record 350 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing TD in a single game at 23 years old. I agree with you so much there, Connor. He's just confident, man. And I go back to when the light really flipped for Justin Fields. It's not like all of a sudden the offense, or I should say like his passing ability all of a sudden just like became Peyton Manning or something. No. Like that is obviously still a work in progress, but at some point this year, what was it, like weeks 6, 7, 8? I can't remember exactly where it was. We saw something change in Justin Fields and he became more confident with the ball in his hand. And that's when you saw these design runs totally play off, him have so much more control of the offense now that they gave him the freedom to be a weapon with his legs. And because of that, you saw everything else in his game become elevated. I think that we are reaching that point with Trevor Lawrence. And you and I talked about this summer when we were mentioning where the Jags were, where Trevor Lawrence were, what the timeline could be, what our expectations were. Last year was a waste. We've seen even Jags players in locker rooms say that last year was a waste. Complete waste. In fact, it had the chance to ruin Trevor Lawrence's career, how bad of a circus it was with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And so this year right here, this is Trevor Lawrence's actual rookie year. This is his real rookie year. And this is, if you think about it like that, the perfect timeline for him. Yeah, okay, he struggles a little bit out of the gates. A new head coach is a new system. You know, the team's not quite there yet on the offensive side of the ball. They're still rebuilding it a lot of ways. They're figuring things out. Now we are in the second half of the season, maybe the last fourth of the season at this point. And now we're starting to see that confidence, that consistent confidence. That's what I would love to see from the Jags moving forward is keep playing like this. Is it always going to amount to a big blowout divisional win like it did this weekend? No, but keep playing confident. That's when you know you're taking steps forward. That's when we can say, all right, in 2023, it might be Trevor Lawrence's year, baby. It might be something that's very special for him. On the flip side of things, did you have another Jags take? Did you want to respond before I flip to the Titans?
I'll just sneak in real quick, too, that Jacksonville took a lot of flack when they paid Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk a lot of money, especially up front, right? I don't think they're really deals besides Kirk that you're like, oh my God, this is going to handicap them for half a decade. But you know what? Give them a little credit that they needed to get as much help as possible you nailed it, Trevor. Like last year was catastrophic. It was red alert with what they did with Lawrence, with Urban Meyer and all of that. They hired a head coach really specifically for Trevor Lawrence. Now, to be fair to Doug's won a Super Bowl, so he's not just the quarterbacks guy.
Sure.
But it's why they hired him. And they paid these guys all this money up front to bring in veteran pro pass catchers. And yes, Evan Ingram's has drops issues. Zay Jones and Christian Kirk have never been the focal point of their offense anywhere else they played before this. But they got pros in there that gave him at least legitimate veterans that they can count on to execute the offense and build his confidence. And after all of that criticism, sure, Jaguars aren't making the playoffs. They'd like to be a little better this year. But for the growth of their quarterback, those things paid off in the long run.
Yep. You're right.
So tip of the cap. They got dunked on through free agency Twitter, and I'm sure we all had our laughs, but
and it just, at least it shows up in days like today, right? And
exactly.
And you may look at these receiving weapons and say, hey, they overpaid for them. And you know what? If you look at things as a true bottom line, maybe they did. But they did so because I think the game plan for it was, when Trevor Lawrence has those games where he's going to be really confident, we don't want passing weapons to be so much of a detriment that he cannot gain confidence in days like today. Days like today don't happen unless, I guess if you want to say it like this, you overpay for some of those guys. Because if they're not on the field, then it might be guys that don't know what they're doing out there. And therefore,
and they wouldn't go there after that disaster.
Sure.
You have to, when you are coming out of the swamp, right? The depths of, how do I put this? Incompetency.
Sure. Good.
That's what you have to. That's what you have to do. And I've experienced it, right? Like, on the side for fun, I do a New York Mets pod. When Steve Cohen bought the team, he had to do things like give Francisco Lindor $341 million because the Mets with the Wilpons were such a joke. And you have to find your way out of that. And you know what? The owner gets credit for putting out that kind of cash to get guys to come there when things are at rock bottom. So Jacksonville they do deserve credit here. I want to be fair in that. But I know you're ready to cook on the other side of this game.
No, I don't really. I'm not cooking on the other side of the game. I don't really know what to do with the Titans now.
I don't think the Titans know what to do with the Titans.
You know,
to be totally honest.
After week 11, they were sitting there at 7-3, sitting pretty. They had just lost a couple weeks prior to the Kansas City Chiefs, but it was an overtime loss. It was basically right there for them. Their schedule was pretty easy, and they beat a bunch of bad teams. So there's a lot of faith that the Titans were going to play well, because that's been the identity with Vrabel over the last couple of years. Last 3 weeks for this team, very close loss to a good Cincinnati Bengals team. All right. Absolute blowout loss to a very good Philadelphia Eagles team.
Yeah.
And then this week, blowout loss to a mid-Jags team. Sorry, Jags fans. It's just mid. I
think they know they're in the process of trying to build.
What are the Titans? What are the Titans here? They're one game above 500 now. They just fired their GM a week ago. Like, I don't know what's going on the field. I don't even know what's going on off the field. I have no faith in the Tennessee Titans, and perhaps that's exactly where they want to be, because there's so many times over the last 2 or 3 years where I've had no faith in the Titans, and a Mike Vrabel coach team has been able to pull it out. But, like, what do you hang your hat on if you're the Tennessee Titans, right? I mean, this is a team that came out and controlled a lot of the early portions of this game. Momentum kind of swung in Jacksonville's direction, or you could say they took momentum and swung it in their direction, however you want to see it. And when the Jags started storming back, especially after the Jags took a lead, the Titans couldn't do anything about it. Derrick Henry had 2 yards in the second half. Once the Jags clamped Derrick Henry down, there was nothing they could do. They don't have the pass catchers. They don't have the passing game. They don't have the tight ends. They don't have the ability to do that. And with their secondary giving up as much as they are through the air, how are you supposed to take this Tennessee Titans team seriously at all when teams like the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Bills are in their playoff picture? They're going to be sitting there. They're going to be playing, because the Titans are clearly, if they get in the playoffs, they're going to win the AFC South, and they're going to have the 4 seed to host a playoff game. They're going to be playing one of the Bengals, the Bills, or the Dolphins in that game. It's going to be one of those three teams. No chance in hell I'm picking the Titans to keep up with any of them.
I mean, they're going to be touchdown plus underdogs in a playoff game.
That's kind of where I am with Titans. That's my one thing that matters most is I'm out on Tennessee. My faith is gone here.
My thing with Tennessee is there's a lot to dissect here, schematically, defensively, and offensively. But Trevor, to me, I'll start with the most low-hanging fruit, just to give something specific. They can't play Dennis Daly anymore. I mean, the inefficiencies or just he's a turnstile at tackle. I mean, just in this game, 2 sacks, 2 more quarterback hits, 2 more quarterback hurries. Single-handedly responsible for 6 pressures. This has been going on. This isn't like a secret. Everybody goes into this week and I think they just look at him as food. And it's just killing the offense. It's killing an offense that has a lot of holes right now, but that's like, let me just start with the lowest hanging fruit that spirals all the other issues. So Tennessee's got for a 7-win team and a great coach. I think Mike Vrabel is a great coach. Tennessee just needs to figure out, you know what it is?
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to make the playoffs, right? As we just discussed. They fired their GM out of nowhere. Do you think Vrabel's even a guy that'll ever sign up to kind of try to retool for a year or two? I don't know if I agree.
No.
But can they afford to keep doing this? To me, the Titans feel like a team that
I don't know what they're going to do. They just fired the GM.
They might make the playoffs every year for the next 3 years. And I don't know if it matters. I don't know how much it matters. Because they just don't feel like they're in the class of the Chiefs, Bengals, Bills. At least that right now.
I don't know.
It's tough. And it's tough, man. It's really tough. And now you got to be scared. You got to be scared looking in your division and be like, what? This Jacksonville team might be a problem for the next couple of years.
No, it's very true. I want to talk to the good people about our friends over at Mojo. But before we do that, somebody tweeted at us and they were like, he's like, you got to do something about the Mojo ad, because if I hear the Tom Brady line one more time, I'm going to lose it. So I'll switch up the Mojo ad. Let me ask you guys a question. All right. What if you could have invested in Brock Purdy when he was a redshirt freshman at Iowa State? Your investment would have been worth over 80,000% after the win over the Buccaneers today. I actually don't know if that's correct. But now, in all seriousness, it's not a what if, it's a who's next. Mojo is the all-new sports stock market that lets you invest in your favorite athletes and cash in on your passion. Sign up right now on the Apple Store to get your first stock for free, worth up to tens of thousands of dollars if you get in early enough and you hit it big. They've got over 300 players that are listed on Mojo, so you can invest in rookies like Chris Olave, like Garrett Wilson, like Drake London, those guys. You comeback candidates like Geno Smith, Saquon Barkley, superstars like Patrick Mahomes, like Jalen Hurts, those guys as well. Go long when you and make some money when an underrated diamond in the rough breaks out, or if you want to have some fun with it, you can even short sell a rival player when your team is about to play theirs. And if they don't play well, you win money for that too. Prices change with every play, every game, every headline. So you can buy and sell instantly anytime all year long. So that action never stops. Mojo is live in New Jersey now. So download Mojo in the Apple App Store today and start turning your playmakers into moneymakers. You must be 21 years or older to use Mojo, or located in New Jersey to make trades. And located in New Jersey to make trades. It's not either or. It's not you either got to be 21 or located in New Jersey. That would be kind of wild. If you got a gambling problem, help is available at 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit mojo.com for more info. And then I got one more from our friends over at DraftKings, Manscaped. It's everybody's favorite ad. It's never too early to start playing holiday music, and it's never too early to start thinking about gifts either. Whether it's for a friend or the friends in your pants, you can make this season a jolly one with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favor and use the Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. Then add Manscaped's top of the line. Yeah, I said it. Then add Manscaped's top of the line shower products to have the people thinking all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his sack, so you should care about yours, Connor. Look nice when you get naughty by going to manscaped.com, using the promo code NFLSE for free shipping and 20% off. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. It has everything you need to help deck the halls from face to balls just in time for mistletoe season.
That's the good stuff right there.
Platinum Package 4.0 sitting under the tree. It's guaranteed to put anyone in the holiday spirit. And for the perfect stocking stuffer, add the brand new Body Buffer, an incredible body scrub that makes exfoliating very easy. And it's a lot better to clean than your old loofah. Save 20% off and get free shipping by going to manscaped.com. Use the promo code NFLSC. That's right, 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com using NFLSC. Be thankful this holiday season for the best gift of all from Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. The devil works hard. The Manscaped script people work even harder.
I mean,
about that.
Good God. Deck the halls from face to balls?
From face to balls, baby.
That's the stuff.
Incredible.
Good stuff. All right.
Where to next?
I've lost my train of thought. Eagles Giants. Oh, boy.
All right, I have a take on this one.
Please, fire away.
The Eagles are like Ohio State in the Big Ten. And when I say that, I mean
careful here.
I mean that prior to the last 2 years, where when we used to go into every season in the Big Ten thinking what? It was Ohio State and then nobody. And Ohio State would play their entire regular season schedule, and it wouldn't matter. You knew that they were going to be in the Big Ten championship. You knew they were probably going to win it. They were just head and shoulders above everybody that was on their schedule that they went up against. And we never really knew how good Ohio State was until we got to postseason play. That's it. That's the Eagles. Right now, when I watch the Eagles every single week, they are blowing teams out. Doesn't matter if you're in the division. Doesn't matter if you're in the conference. Doesn't matter if you're from the AFC and they happen to be playing you. They are absolutely destroying every team that is in their way. No mercy. This is the most complete team in the NFL. They are the most complete team in the NFL. And we will truly not know how that stacks up against the best teams in the NFL until the Eagles make the Super Bowl. That's it. For as fun as Brock Purdy is right now, and shoot, maybe I'll eat my words with the 49ers. That's the only team I see even competing with the Eagles in the postseason. I don't think the Vikings are going to be for real enough for it. Bucks certainly aren't. Cowboys, I think they're going to have their number. Seahawks, Giants, Commanders, doesn't matter who makes the playoffs, even the Lions if they make the playoffs. I don't think it matters until the Eagles make the Super Bowl. It's just like Ohio State. I don't think we actually get to know how good of a team they were all, 2-3 years ago and for a million years before that until they made the postseason. And that's the way that I think about the Philadelphia Eagles right now. The only teams, Connor, that they have played from the AFC, Jags, Steelers, Titans, Texans, Colts. That's it. Titans, we already know, are like frauds at this point. Now, they weren't at the time, so I don't want to totally take away the win there. But the Jags weren't what they were today when they played the Eagles. They haven't played anybody. Of the teams that were cross-conference teams, they haven't played anybody that actually represents the cream of the crop in the AFC. So that's my take. The Eagles truly look like the most complete team in the NFL right now. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But they feel like Ohio State to be, where we are just simply not going to know how good this team really is until Ohio State made the college football playoff or until the Eagles make the Super Bowl. Not to say they can't win it. That's
like Cincinnati.
That's not what I'm trying to say here. No, well, yeah.
No. Like I'm talking about Cincinnati, the college team, when they made the playoff, and everybody was like, "Oh, do they deserve to be in the playoff? Are they going to get smoked by Alabama?"
No, but
just because I know what you mean.
If we're going to be honest, like we always kind of knew that Cincinnati was going to be smoked. I don't know that about the Eagles.
I thought they hung tough.
Eagles could make the Super Bowl and still look incredible and be Super Bowl champions this year. But we will not. Every single week, it's the same thing. Every single week, they destroy everybody who's in their way, and they destroy them in a multitude of ways. Passing, rushing, defense first, doesn't matter. Special teams, shoot. Scott took a big kick return back to get them plus field position at one point when I was watching the game. It's like, good Lord, could more things go right for the Eagles? They're incredibly well coached. They're incredibly led by Jalen Hurts, incredible passing weapons, phenomenal offensive line, great run game, and a defense that he is only seeming to get better as the year goes on.
I think you just answered it right there then. I do think they're for real. I think they're really freaking good. And I think you answered it right there. Now, I think what you're saying is we don't know if they'll be tested until the Super Bowl, right?
I don't feel like they're going to.
You're not
I really don't
afraid
feel like
of the Purdy parade?
No, not
I love how serious of a response you gave me.
If I had to bet right now, the NFC Championship game will be the San Francisco 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think it'll be fun because DeMeco Ryans has been phenomenal at defense. And Brock Purdy, giving him full credit, has been unbelievable.
Where did this come from?
Since he came in for Jimmy Garoppolo. But we still got to see it for an extended period of time, especially when we get in the playoffs. And I think the Eagles are going to be sitting there waiting for him.
Eagles are a wagon. Maybe the most talented roster, 1 to 53 in the NFL. I'll do a little Giants here just to wrap this game up. The Giants, to be fair to them as well, throughout all this, as they kind of spiral-ish. I mean, they got blown out by the Eagles. They tied with the Commanders. They lost to the Cowboys. They lost to the Lions. That's their last 4 games. I mean, you give up 31 to the Lions. You give 28 to Dallas. You give up 20 to Taylor Heineke, no ads, and you gave up 48 to the Eagles.
Premium Taylor Heineke. Subscription Taylor
$8.99 a month. I think the Giants' injuries on defense are just, when you're not a talented team, you can't survive the wave of injuries that you're dealing with in December. And the Giants are out here. I mean, their secondary is Nick McLeod. Jason Pinnock is starting at safety. He was on the Jets practice squad last year. Whatever's left of Jalen Smith is out there not doing anything against the run. Fabian Moreau, who's okay. The Giants are just, this is not the Giants that Joe Shane and Wink Martindale and Brian Dable are, the year 3 Giants. And they deserve a lot of credit for being competitive to this point. But it just goes to show you when you step into a place that needs a lot of help, that December can really wipe you out. And I think that's what the Eagles are a wagon, and the Eagles would have beat them. It would, to me, would beat a healthy Giants team. Mm-hmm. But this Giants team right now, it's hard for them to stand a chance with what they're dealing with compared to the other teams that have been building their depth for their scheme for this moment. So it's, we'll see if the Giants have some fight to finish the season to overcome that, but it's very tough to do.
Ravens Steelers. Ravens keep control of the AFC North. 9-4. They win this game 16-14. Maserati Mitch, Maybach Mitch, Mazda Mitch. I don't. What's another M car name?
Mercedes
Mitch. Maybach Mitch had to come into this game because Kenny Pickett went out with a concussion. Ravens win a close one. What was the thing that mattered most here, Connor?
I mean, this is like the surface level of what matters most, but it didn't matter how. The Ravens just need to get the win while waiting for Lamar Jackson to come back, because not only was Tyler Huntley starting, Anthony Brown had to come into this game, and the Ravens were just going to run the hell out of the ball. They had 42 rush attempts, Trevor. 42 rush attempts in this game. They found a way to win. Trubisky threw the ball all around the yard with the 3 interceptions. The Ravens, to me, are a team that since summer have been just trying to piece it together. They've dealt with Ronnie Stanley, J.K. Dobbins, Marcus Peters, tons of players on defense. They just can't all be healthy at the right time, and now it's Lamar. So for the Ravens, just get the wins, get your playoff seeding, and hope that it clicks for you at the right time in terms of your injuries, because they're a type of team that can win ugly with the type of running they do. They put Pat Ricard back there to lead block for these guys. They run out of the pistol. It's awesome. I don't know if they're built this year for a deep playoff run despite having the 9 wins. I'd love to see Lamar go off, but they're a type of team that just needs to get in and be healthy. And I think it'll time up right for them when it all said and done.
Shout out to J.K. Dobbins, who is a player who I really like, who tore his ACL last season and missed all of last season.
It's been a long road.
Dealing with some knee injuries this year, so he just hasn't been 100%, but got over 100 yards rushing, 120 yards rushing today, which is really cool to see. So loved seeing that from J.K. Dobbins. my only other really what matters most from this game, because I do agree with you, the thing that matters most for this season is clearly that the Ravens got the win that they needed. Maybe more of a long-term outlook. Kenny Pickett left this game with a concussion. This is his second concussion now that he's had in 10 games.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, made it through the first one, came back, has been playing for a while now, but got hit today. It was an ugly looking hit where the defender like grabbed his face mask and kind of almost like threw Pickett's head against the turf. So it looked like it was a really tough hit. Pickett goes out of the game. They test him for a concussion. I think the initial tests were negative. He went back in the game for a very short period of time, and then they pulled him again and then said he was out for concussion protocol, which I can't pretend to know all the ins and outs of the league's updated concussion protocol since all the Tua stuff happened earlier this year. But like, we still got some figuring out to do. If you tested him, he was fine enough to go back in the game, and then you pulled him, put him in concussion protocol, declared him immediately out for the game. I understand the concussion symptoms don't always pop up right away, and so it's hard to tell. And they're being proactive still after they clear him, which is good. I do like those things, but if the guy's got a concussion, him going back in the game is not really great. But long term, it's just not good to see 2 concussions now in 10 games. It's a violent game, man. We've seen a lot of really good players in this league suffer from concussions that just can derail what their potential was. And I don't want that to happen to Kenny Pickett. And look, I don't know what happens. It's different other than the Steelers' offensive line getting better. But, Kenny Pickett's somebody who holds onto the ball for a long time anyways. That's what allowed him to have a lot of success at Pitt last year. So he's leaning on what gave him his success and how he's played the game. But he's bottom 10 in the NFL when it comes to time to throw. He's got a very high time to throw. It's just under 3 seconds. So I think it's like 2.9 it was going into this week. So he holds on the ball a lot anyway, so he's going to take some hits. But man, I just hate seeing that from Pickett, and I wanted to note that that's something that obviously everybody's got to keep their eye on. But I certainly hope that it's not something that Kenny continues to deal with, because concussions are no joke, man. Football and beyond football. I'm really hoping that he's okay. I'm hoping that this is the last concussion he has in a long time, because I don't want to see him be stacking these things up, because that can get really dangerous.
At Panthers, hosting the Raiders. At Baltimore, hosting the Browns. Any consideration to maybe shutting them down for the Final Four? You're going to see Max Crosby. You're going to see Baltimore again, and then you're going to see Myles Garrett.
I don't really think the matchup matters. It's just is he good to go? Like, if and you got to really sit him down and have a heart-to-heart with him. I think that's what Mike Tomlin's got to do. And I don't doubt that Mike Tomlin would do that. I think he's a player's coach in a lot of ways. So I just think you really have to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with Kenny and be like, hey, look, I know you want to go out there. I know you want what's best for you. You are our first-round pick. You're going to be the guy that we're going forward with. We want what's best for you, right? And you got to get an honest answer out of him. And you got to make sure that he is also thinking about protecting himself too, because you're in a season where, let's face it, it doesn't matter for the Steelers anymore. They're not often in this situation, and a Mike Tomlin team's not going to pack it in and just not be competitive. But there's a difference between not being competitive and maybe putting a guy aside who's had some multiple head injuries this year. So that's kind of my response to that. What do you think?
I'm with you. They got to take care of him, because he's their, the future under center there for the Steelers. And
the future,
like you said, he's a young guy figuring out, holding on to the ball. You're going to take some big hits. So just do what's best for him long-term for the team. Chiefs Broncos, odd game. Chiefs come out just smoking the Broncos, and then the Broncos credit to them, fight back. I just have one takeaway for this one for me, Trevor, for the Chiefs. What matters most from watching this game is I think they got to lean on Isaiah Pacheco even more than they do. I'm really impressed with this young guy. I mean, this game, only 13 carries. He runs for 71 yards. He forces 5 missed tackles. He had almost 3 yards per carry after contact. So this is a dude, 2 explosive runs. This is a guy that can really, really keep the legs driving, grind out the tough yards. He adds a different dimension to me to this Kansas City offense. We know Mahomes could run around, throw on you for days, especially with Kelsey and McKinnon. But I think Pacheco is somebody that I think when do we make a decisive effort to get this guy maybe 15 plus carries every single week, because I love what I'm seeing, what he could do for their run game. And I think that's going to matter so much for the Chiefs come postseason time.
Totally agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. Would love to see more of Isaiah Pacheco, but they've already gone to him as kind of their main guy on the ground, which is important. For anybody who was watching on YouTube who saw me make a face, I was not making a face at what Connor was saying. I was making a face at me looking at Mahomes' stat line for this game, which was 28 for 42, 352 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And I went, I wonder what the big time throw to turnover worthy plays was. 0 big time throws, 3 turnover worthy plays. And so that's why I was like, that's not good.
You were making that face at my take?
No, I was not.
Trevor hates Rutgers, so he hates Isaiah Pacheco. That was where that came from.
Hey, look, Greg Schiano ruined the Buccaneers, so I've got to stay bitter for the rest of my life.
Deep-rooted.
Yeah. I really don't have a big take from this game. I didn't get to see a lot.
You don't have to. That's the best part.
No, I didn't get to see a lot of this game. This is obviously the same time the Bucs 49ers game was going on, so I was covering that for our.com, so I was watching a lot of that. And honestly, Chiefs went up 27-0, and I kind of stopped paying attention to it for a long time, and then all of a sudden it was like 27-21, and I was like, okay, what the hell happened? So this is a game that unfortunately, I don't really have a big take on. It's one that I got to go back tomorrow and just take a look at how in the world we ended up here. But I did see some of the Mahomes magic plays. Dude's a wizard. I mean, the passing touchdown to Juju Smith-Schuster, where he just
kind of a hilarious play,
ran in a circle in the backfield and still tossed a touchdown to the end zone. I mean, like that's some stuff that happens in video games that would get you pissed, right? That's what we're talking about.
Rage quit.
Yeah, I mean, like you're rage quitting at that point. Obviously, I kind of started paying attention to it down the stretch, and Russell Wilson going out of this game sucked, because I would have loved to see like what would have happened if Russ would have still been in the game, because it looked like all momentum was on their side. But hey, good for Kansas City. Still got the win. Mahomes looked incredible, even though it was, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, an ugly win. I went to a Chiefs message board after this game, and I will say that, and I was just like reading up on kind of what happened in the game. And you would think that the Chiefs are like the Titans, with like the way that some people talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Like,
dude, when fan bases get too used to winning, they act real crazy real quick.
It was like I was reading a couple of the comments, and I'm like, y'all have gotta. I mean, they're like, oh, we can kiss this season goodbye. This team's not real. The record's fake, and I'm like, y'all, come on. You've got a tier 1 team in the NFL, but I get it. You know,
10-3. Enjoy the wins. Nothing fake about it.
What do you got next?
I think I'm going to give you the floor for Bucs Niners. I hinted at the Purdy Party Parade. Purdy Party Parade?
The Purdy Party Parade. Yeah.
I like that. Triple P.
Yeah.
PPP.
3P.
Trevor, what the hell is going on, dude? I mean, what the hell? Let me tee it off with a scorcher here, because this kind of seemed to be the theme of the Sunday morning.
Sure.
Is Tom Brady coming back to the Bucs?
No, probably not. I wouldn't. Why would you? This is a textbook game of one of the best coaching staffs in the NFL, if not the best coaching staff in the NFL. You know, we've already seen what kind of a pipeline Kyle Shanahan has been with.
I'd rank him number 1 right now,
with Robert Saleh and Mike McDaniel already going on to be head coaches, and now D'Amico Ryans is going to be a head coach after this in the offseason. This is one of, if not the best coaching staff in the NFL, going up against one of, if not the worst coaching staffs in the NFL. And I know there's a lot of fan bases out there that are near the bottom with record that would say like, oh yeah, you think you have it bad in Tampa. Well, I mean, like Tampa has it pretty bad, because Tampa's got a lot of talent and can't score any damn points. 7 points in this game, and it was a pitiful 7 points. Like they were already down 35-0. They would have had to pass the sticks a long time ago before they even got that 7 points. It's just so bad in Tampa. I mean, the overall head coach decision makings are bad. The defensive discipline is terrible. The injuries, of course, are really hampering him. Donovan Smith's one of the most penalized and undisciplined offensive linemen in the NFL right now. He said earlier this week, like, hey, I'm going through some things. I don't doubt that. But if you're out there to play and you're causing penalties and everything, I mean, like you're hurting your team. So I don't mean to really get on him too hard, because I'm sure he's playing through injury, because a lot of guys are playing through injury, but it just doesn't look pretty. The run game is bad as it's always been. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin can't catch the ball. I don't know what's going on with them.
I don't understand.
And it makes me just feel like this team does not have any focus. And I've talked about it the last couple of weeks. The teams 100%, and we're going to talk about this with the Carolina Panthers in a second, take on the identity of their coaching staff. That absolutely happens. That is a thing. That is a very, very real thing. Tampa, when they won the Super Bowl, had the identity of Bruce Arians. Don't give an F, risk it, aggressive. We're going to go out and win the football game because we're the best damn team that's on the field. That was Bruce Arians. Whether it came true or not, and I'm not saying that Bruce Arians is a perfect head coach because he wasn't, but whether that was true or not, they believe that. They believe that every single week, it felt like. There was never any doubt about that. This team all year long doesn't believe they're winners, does not believe they're good. They don't play like it. 100% they don't play like it. The only wins they have over this last stretch of 5 or 6 game is miracle 2-minute comeback by Tom Brady and a miracle 4-minute comeback by Tom Brady.
Mark Ingram, somebody shouldn't have stepped out of bounds.
Mark Ingram, yes.
Game
if you take
over.
Those 6 minutes out of the last 6 weeks of their play, they are the worst team in the NFL. Ooh. The Texans would stomp the Buccaneers. And that, to me, that's not injuries. That's not talent. They still got talent. They were beat up this week. And, of course, they were not going to beat the 49ers. They were never going to beat the 49ers. That was never a question. But they look pitiful. They look like a team that's already given up on the season. And they're in first place of the division. So, to go back to your Tom Brady question, I don't think that he's going to come back to the Buccaneers because why would you come back to this coaching staff? Ultimately, I'm just being honest. Why would you come back to this coaching staff? Why would you come back to that situation when you know that you're going to have basically your pick of whatever shooters you want to go to? Maybe even the San Francisco 49ers. But the Bucs are just they're what we kind of said the last couple of weeks. They're an unserious playoff team. Probably going to make the playoffs still. But they're a poorly coached football team. They're a poorly disciplined team. And Tom Brady recognizes all the deficiencies that this team has. And I'm not saying that he's blameless in this, but now you just see him pressing. Like now you just see him doing things that Tom Brady just never does. He's just throwing turnovers, errant passes, bad reads, and he's just in his own head at this point. So he's starting to play bad for the majority of football games outside of, again, like the 2-minute drives where he's been a hero. And it's just a culmination of everything that's been going on in Tampa. On the flip side, hell of a job by Brock Purdy, man. This guy hadn't played this well since he was 19 at Iowa State, that redshirt freshman year. And we're seeing brilliance from him. Sure hope Deebo Samuel ain't hurt severely because, like I said, this team feels like they're on a collision course with the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game. And if they got Deebo, they got a chance. This is my takes.
No, it's a big one. It's a big one, obviously, for the Niners because Deebo allows you to take the ball out of the quarterback's hands so often with how creative you can get with him. And as much as Purdy was awesome today, obviously the Niners would like to make life easier on him. But what matters most is what you opened up this with, is that the Niners have the best coaching staff in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And the best coaching staff, folks, does not mean just the guy at the top, because I get it. Some people will always fight to the death for Bill Belichick, no matter what the state of the Patriots are. Sirianni's had a really good year, all these things. The Niners with Kyle Shanahan, and he's lost a lot of guys over the year. Mike McDaniel, obviously Robert Saleh, and they've lost guys from the rest of their staff that have gone with those guys. But when you look at what DeMeco does on defense and what Kyle can do when he prepares a quarterback that needs all the help in the world, it's just incredible. And that's why the Niners, in my opinion, right now do have the best coaching staff in the NFL. And it's going to take another hit this offseason because DeMeco is going to get a really high-profile job. He's earned that. He deserves it. He's going to be a head coach somewhere if he chooses to. But Kyle Shanahan deserves a lot of credit because why does this keep happening? Everyone Kyle Shanahan hires seems to just figure it out.
Yep.
And they, you know what's funny to me? Kyle, for such a, kind of very serious mannered guy at the podium all the time. All of the assistants he has that go somewhere else are the most beloved guys by their players in the NFL. Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins, Robert Saleh, obviously, with the Jets. Both those franchises had culture issues, by the way, at the time. Significant culture issues at the time. And both have turned it around this year. And then DeMeco. So I know Kyle Shanahan, people, kind of poke holes at him and there's reasons and stuff. But my goodness. And it's just, and they They're just developing coaches at a rate, and this is why, because their team comes ready to play no matter who's back there at key positions. That's how you sustainably win. Great coaching.
Couple of different play calls in the Super Bowl when he was the offensive coordinator with the Falcons, and the Super Bowl that the Niners were in against the Chiefs. Couple of different play calls in both those games. And we're talking about Kyle Shanahan as one of the greatest coaches in NFL history.
Yeah, he'd be in the Hall of Fame already.
And I mean, we're probably going to get there anyways, and we should. So. But can you imagine if that comeback didn't happen for the Patriots? Like if he called different plays and they salted the game away, they won that Super Bowl. He won it as the offensive coordinator. He won it as the offensive coordinator in the Matt Ryan MVP year, all that stuff. And then they go to San Francisco. And can you imagine if they were able to salt that game away? Mahomes doesn't have that comeback. They get another Super Bowl there. And we're even if everything after that happened exactly the same, couple of different play calls here or there, and we're talking about him as one of the greatest coaches of all time. I think it's where we're at. So I think it's a good take by you. Panthers, Seahawks.
Last game of the week.
Panthers come away with the dub. What a dub. 30-24. Panthers are 5-8, Connor. They're one game out of the NFC.
That's
the NFC South race. They have already beaten the Bucs. They've already beaten the Bucs. What's their record against the Falcons? Panthers schedule.
They played him twice already. They lost to him in overtime, and then they beat him a couple weeks later.
Okay, but they own the tiebreaker because they won by 10 points, and the Falcons only beat them by 3. And that was both a home and home for both of them. So they own the tiebreaker over the Buccaneers right now. They beat them 21-3. So that's a massive 18-point differential right there. And they own the tiebreaker over the Falcons. This team plays the Steelers next week, the Lions the week after, the Buccaneers the 1st of January, and then they finish up with the New Orleans Saints. There is a legit world where they win the NFC South.
At 8-9.
Yeah, if that.
Right?
If that. All they have to do is beat the Buccaneers and then probably win one other game.
Imagine being in the playoffs and you won 7 out of your 17 games.
I think the winner of the NFC South is going to be 7-10. That's what I think. I think the winner is going to be 7-10. And there is a very real world where that could be the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, man.
What's your takeaway? Do you have what matters most?
I mean, it's freaking... I don't have one for the Panthers because you outlined that really well. Awesome for Steve Wilks. And I mean that with all sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of go back to what I said last week of why I was so concerned about Seattle is I don't think it matters what Geno does, as great as Geno has been this year. And he had a couple of turnovers in this game, but still, Seattle's defense is not competitive. It's not competitive. And it just kind of outlines the offseason for you at Seattle. It's really amazing they're 7-6 with this defense, to be completely honest with you, because they allow a lot of big plays. They don't have a great pass rush. You know, Mullins had a great rookie season, but he's even prone to giving up the big play now and then. He's not perfect, and he shouldn't be expected to. It's not fair to him. But Seattle, Trevor, they have 7 wins, right? 7-6?
I believe so. Yeah.
No, they do. They have the Niners at home next week.
Rough.
They go to Kansas City.
Yikes.
They host the Jets.
Yikes.
And then they get the Rams at home.
Baker.
They got to find a way to... Baker. Who, let's not forget, remember everybody was like, oh, Seattle's the team for Baker? He reads everything. He probably has them on his list, his hate list.
You know what Baker shouldn't read? The playbook. Because clearly him not knowing the playbook is just like, it's just, you just go Baker. You just go Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield.
Seattle's got to figure things. I just don't think they can figure things out defensively. They just have to try to shoot out everybody. But it's scary when you got the Niners, Chiefs, and I feel like the Jets never play well when they go out there, but still. It's not an easy 3 games.
I agree with you. What matters most is that Steve Wilkes better be a defensive coordinator next season.
Oh, at a minimum.
Steve Wilkes better be a defensive coordinator at a minimum next season. Over the last 4 weeks in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers are number 3 in the NFL in EPA per play allowed. That defense is playing unbelievable with him at the head coach spot now. Hey, just the turnaround that he's able to have on that team. Hats off to him, man. Incredible job. I just have so much respect for what Steve Wilkes is doing. Carolina, it'll be interesting to see how we talk about you on the Monday show, because I don't even know right now. Are you a playoff team now? Are you not a draft team now? Where are they currently?
They're literally the most teetering team, by the way.
They currently have the 9th overall draft pick, so we are still going to talk about them because they have a top 10 pick. But
and they're in the playoff race.
The conversations with the Carolina Panthers are going to be incredibly interesting. I cannot wait for Wednesday show. Wednesday shows only get better and better.
They grow stronger
as we start to finalize the order, baby.
Wild.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time. All right, that was what matters most. At least what we think matters most.
Yeah.
From the afternoon games from Week 14 in the NFL. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you thought about our takes. Also, we'd love to hear your takes, even independent of ours. What you think about how your favorite team played, how a team that you were really watching played. Just give us your takes on overall what you think of the NFL with teams, players, whatever it is. 14 weeks into the season. Connor and I are going to be back on Wednesday.
Better than ever.
Back and better than ever on Wednesday. Refreshed and with the updated 2023 NFL draft order right in front of us. Like I said, we've only got 4 more weeks in the season. That means that order is really starting to solidify itself. Those teams that are picking in the top 5, chances are you're probably going to still be picking in the top 5. Top 10, top 20, same thing. We're really shaping out what the 2023 NFL draft is going to look like. And of course, with this being a draft podcast, that's our bread and butter, baby. That's what we love to talk about. We're talking about all different scenarios, what teams could be looking to trade up, trade down, what picks, what players, some early team combinations that we're going to be looking at. We're going to be having all that kinds of discussion and so much more on the Wednesday episode. Connor, you got anything else before we get out of here?
Well said. I mean, I think the draft order right now is, when you have a team like the Panthers that are teetering on the line of in the postseason or picking in the top 10, all bets are off. So big week ahead for us. Obviously, the college football season has ended for a lot of players. So there's a lot of declarations coming in, a lot of all-star invites being accepted. Just a lot. There's so many moving parts. December is absolute chaos. And Trevor and I will do our best, and we will do a very good job of keeping you on the loop on both worlds.
If we do say so ourselves.
Yes, that's always the goal.
Which we do.
We
absolutely do.
We don't fail. The addicts.
Appreciate
fix.
No, we could never. Appreciate you guys listening and watching the show. We will be back with you on Wednesday for more NFL draft information. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers. Thank you guys so much for listening to the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. See you on Wednesday.